This is a nice little bit of woodland. I've just come for a little wander around, to be honest. It's at the side of Peafield Lane, which runs from Mansfield Woodhouse to Edwinstowe, so it can be a bit noisy at peak traffic times. But there are places in this undulating woodland where you can remove much of that traffic noise. And it's a nice little piece of woodland too, predominantly beech and a range of other trees in lesser numbers or lesser quantity. But it's a woodland which has had its problems with antisocial behaviour over the year, a number of bonfires, countless cars being dumped here and set on fire, or just dumped here. But motorbikers riding through it, as you can see with the track behind me and the trail. But they need somewhere to go. However much many people don't like them, and I'm not a fan of them racing around our woodlands and countryside, they need somewhere to go, and this is a popular spot. It's a popular route for a group which traverse Nottinghamshire, or at least is part of Nottinghamshire, over the course of a weekend. Mountain bikers too, it's popular with. But apart from all that, there is wildlife to be found here, and especially invertebrates. And I've just found my first one. Bit of a breezy day today, but I've come out nonetheless and was hoping to find a few bits and bobs to show you. But this is an area of woodland, predominantly beech woodland, and it's close to the red brick house between Mansfield and Edwinstowe, and it's one of the sites that we know of for this chap, Platybunus pinetorum. This is the first one I've found today. Never found big numbers here, but I've never done a full survey of all of the wood here. But this is one which is out and enjoying this glorious spring sunshine. So there is a bit of a breeze today, which isn't really taking the edge off the temperatures, just makes it a bit more difficult for filming. But this is the first one of these today, so it'll be interesting to see how many of these actually turn up. And this is pretty much adult now. It's still got one molt to go, but you can see how colourful these are. It's an absolutely beautiful species. For the arachnophiles, ignore the 8 legs and just look at the body bit. That's where all the markings are, although the legs are faintly annulated. It's still a lovely little thing. Well, this view here is pretty much what this area of woodland is all about. Virtually no understory at all, very, very sparse grass growth, and there are areas or carpets of moss. This could be a beautiful area of woodland, but it suffers from, shall we say, unruly behaviour. A lot of antisocial behaviour goes on here, and that's mostly down to motorbike riders going through the woodland, and the local youths have played havoc with this area of woodland over time. It used to be one of the regular sites for wood warbler locally, or indeed in Nottinghamshire many years ago. Long since gone now though as wood warbler, and there's not much in the way of birds here anyway. You'll hear nuthatch calling from time to time, maybe the odd other bird, but it's quite sparse for birds, and that's largely down to the lack of any understory vegetation. But I like this woodland despite its problems, shall we say. There's good stuff to find here, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of finding. Well, as I'm walking around here, it's clear that there's quite an emergence of one of our more common micro moths, and it's Incuvaria pectinea. There are lots of Incuvaria pectinea flying around, and this happens pretty much this time of year. Each year it's always in good numbers, and the larvae create quite distinctive circular leaf mines, which they eventually cut out and then drop to the floor and then live in that case, a portable case, until they pupate. Pupation takes place and they hatch out the following year, but it's a very common moth. There is another look-alike. There tends to be a look-alike or several look-alikes to everything, but sometimes you can find it in dozens and dozens sat on the trunks of beech trees such as here. There's parts of this small woodland in which the floor is covered with an unbelievable amount of dead wood, to be honest, branches that have fallen off over the years. It's the kind of thing you get when trees are as closely planted as these are. And then occasionally there are remnants of perhaps what the woodland used to be, in the form of some patches of native bluebells. We're just about at that point where our woodlands that have bluebells have a carpet of blue underneath the trees. It's the time of year I particularly love, to be honest. I love to see bluebells, and who wouldn't? But it's nice to see bluebells here. At least there's an element of greenery and colour to this woodland floor. It's a struggle to find things, but here's something I can't miss, really. In fact, there's two of these, and this is the larva of Psyche castor, one of our Psychidae moths. They have a very distinctive case made from fragments of old pine needles and bits of grass. The cases are usually only just over a centimetre or so in length, and there you can see the larva looking for a pupation site, working its way up the tree. Well, this one here is just approaching 6 feet off the ground. The other case that I mentioned has anchored up at about 2 foot off the ground. So there's quite a degree of variation. But you can find these cases attached to a grass blade lower to the ground, or even a bramble leaf, and the caterpillars usually will have a bit of a feed in spring before pupating. This one's not particularly interested in feeding. It's just interested in seeing how far it can get up this sycamore. You ever be too old? I don't think so. We have another Platyburnus pinetorum. I've gone a while without finding a second, and this looks as though it's recently molted. You can see how pale the legs are, very pale, and it's a smaller bodied individual than the one we looked at earlier. This is from further in the wood here. It's not an area that I've had this species in before. They've always been up the top near the road. So nice to find another one. Now if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a harvestman, but this isn't ordinarily how I've showed you the harvestman. This one has just molted. It's a Platybunus pinetorum. There's the chestnut ocularum that you may be able to make out, but this one has only just molted, and its molt is here in this top right hand corner of the screen. It's rare for me to find them on the floor or under something. I think I may have found it once in a similar situation, but I've never seen one that has recently molted like this. I'm pleased with that.